Hey everybody, this is Attorney Walter Disability Resolution PA, and as you know, on every Thursday from 8 to 10, we go ahead and run hearing questions for OHO, that's the hearing office, Social Security Disability Benefits. We have our first caller on the line. What we're going to be doing is going through some of the basic hearing questions, and then we're going to turn up the heat and make them tougher. So, Madame, what is your fake name for the record?
Jane.
Perfect. And now just a quick heads up, a disclaimer, there's no attorney-client privilege. We're obviously doing a live broadcast through YouTube. And are you ready to roll?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Okay, let's go ahead and begin. Are you left-handed or right-handed?
I am left-handed, but my right side is my dominant side.
Okay, gotcha. Now be careful with those kinds of answers, because that means that the judge can use any side for dominant purposes. So if you've got a weak left hand and you're left-handed, they could still consider your right hand to be dominant. So let's go to the next thing. Go ahead and walk me through this. Current age and date of birth.
I am 58. My date of birth is 1960. I'm 57. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. My date of birth is 1962.
Okay. What's the highest level of education?
I have a master's degree.
Excellent.
Global Security Studies.
Okay. And can you tell me this, over the past 15 years, since 2005, did you work any jobs that were in that field?
Yes, I was in the Army.
Okay, excellent. And can you walk me through, what did you do with that job?
I was a signals analyst as well as an intelligence analyst.
Okay.
And you want the details of the job or just that?
Give me the physical details. Like, what did you have to lift? What were the things that you had to do in a general sense? Yeah.
Okay. In a general sense, in the military, I had to do physical training just about every day, type of training every day. And then also do my job as an intelligence analyst. The physical training was physical training in the morning, which entailed push-ups, sit-ups, run, and then sometimes we would ruck march. Ruck marching is carrying a 35-pound backpack on your back along with your weapon, and then just other mandatory required training that the Army, via the Army doctrine.
Okay, excellent.
And then the intelligence analyst entailed me sitting at a computer, reading information and typing that information onto reports, preparing presentations. It also entailed briefings, me conducting briefings and things of that nature.
Okay. Now, did you work that job for the majority of time since 2005 until the present?
I worked that job. Well, I retired in 2012. Mm-hmm. I spent 24 years in the military.
Okay. Did you have any work thereafter, after 2012?
No, I did not.
Okay. So as a heads up, first thing my brain is going to is, okay, there might be a quarters of coverage problem, because for SSDI benefits, you've got to have 20 quarters of coverage within the past 10 years. So do you know what your DLI is, or your date last insured?
The letter that I received that date last insured was December 31st, 2017.
2017. Okay, so that's a tough one. That's kind of back in the day. When did you file?
When did I file? I believe in the 30th of July. I filed twice. The first time was in January of 2019, and then again in July of 2019. And the reason I filed the first time I filed, I did not provide them with the information that I'm a 100% disabled veteran. And then this time I did. With this most current file, I did back in July.
Okay, so here's the kicker. You can go 17 months back from that date, puts you into 2018, which means that your initial filing date is not far enough back in time to be able to attach to your SSDI benefits unless the judge is willing to give you what's called a non-mechanical application of alleged onset date, which is a bit of a stretch because we're talking more than 6, 7, 8, even 9 months to stretch back to 2017. So
I did.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I did file back in 2016 when I was living in Texas. I was going to school pursuing my master's at that time, but I did file, and I was denied.
Mm-hmm.
And this was in 2016. I don't have the exact date with me. I can get it if you need me to.
So the reason I'm kind of looking at this situation worried is that after 2016, you probably didn't appeal that denial, or that claim died at some point. And if that claim died after your DLI, that means you cannot attach to your DLI, and you cannot go on SSDI benefits, but only SSI benefits.
Okay.
So just something to keep in mind. I would find out when you filed, when you got your last denial from the 2016 claim. I would go look at the exact date in which you filed. And you said you filed twice. So did you just keep like filing and then filing and filing and not appealing?
Yeah, in 2016, that was the case. I filed, like I said, I think I filed twice. I was in school, and I think, time got away from me, between going to school and, completing the assignments. Time did get away from me.
Okay.
And so I applied again, and I'm trying to, I think that's pretty much why. Okay,
gotcha. All right, so first big thing that pops up that kind of is, inside my brain about this situation is, all right, if you had a filing and then you didn't appeal the file, or you appealed the filing in early 2019 until basically, you went to recon at a higher level and you didn't refile, then you should be okay to maybe get a non-mechanical application. But the problem is if you filed twice, like basic initial filings in 2019, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that means, unfortunately, you have to... All right, so write this down because this is very complex and it's not going to be fun. You're going to have to do what's called... You're going to have to reattach to the 2019 January claim by contacting the local field office, and you're going to have to basically use the 404.911 statute to extend the 60 days to go ahead and basically reattach to that date. And then you're going to have to build your claim based upon trying to use a non-mechanical application allowance to show that you were disabled all the way back in 2017 to get on SSDI benefits.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So, all right. So you're gonna call me after we do this whole YouTube thing, because that's super tricky, and it's something a lot of lawyers won't even do. They won't even play with because it takes so much time and energy. But I'll kind of walk you through what the bullet points are so you can begin the process of it.
Okay.
Perfect.
Right, thank you.
You got it. Okay. So, Madame, let me ask you this: what are the top 3 most severe impairments that you have?
The top 3 are my lower back. I have degenerative disc disease, and I also have degenerative disc disease in my neck, and along with some spurs. And I have a tear in my right shoulder. I have cubital tunnel in my right elbow. I have carpal tunnel in both hands, and muscle loss in both hands as well. And my knees are bad, no cartilage in my knees, and it's just a lot.
Okay, gotcha. So which do you feel is your most severe?
My most severe, I would say, are my cervical spine and my right side, my entire right side, from my shoulder to my fingertips.
Okay. So what do you feel is your most severe mental impairment?
A severe mental impairment?
Yeah. Do you have any mental anxiety, depression, things like that, possibly PTSD?
I would say no. I would say no, I don't have any of those symptoms.
Okay. Walk me through this. So you have a VA 100% VPAT allowance. Write down the statute. This is what you're going to go ahead and cite to. It's I-2-1-40, subsection A. I think it's 2. Subsection A2. It's either A2 or 3. What you're going to be utilizing with that is your 100% VPAT allowance, which is your percentages that add up for the VA to go ahead and show that you are in fact disabled under their system. So what percentages do you have per the VA for your most severe impairments?
Let me see. I know. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go run and get that for you.
Sure. So guys, while she's going to run off and get those details, which are super duper important for the claim, I'm actually going to let you know we have another unofficial sponsor. So remember last week we had an unofficial sponsor, and that was the Beaver Moon Soap Company, which I have literally 30 of them over here because I like fancy soap. The next one is basically face masks. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to release the company information, and maybe they'll give a discount to you guys or something like that for face masks. That way you can have them during the pandemic. But bottom line is that's another unofficial sponsor. I'll give you all the company details and all that later. But now back to the hearing. Madame, walk me through what are the percentages for the impairments?
I have 40% for left upper extremity, peripheral neuropathy, and carpal tunnel syndrome.
Okay.
And
go ahead. Yeah.
30% right elbow cubital tunnel syndrome, carpal tunnel syndrome, peripheral neuropathy.
Neuropathy, yeah. Okay.
And then I have 20% for lumbar spine joint and disc disease with intervertebral disc syndrome. And then, let's see, 30% for tension headache.
Gotcha.
20% for cervical spondylosis with degenerative arthritis.
Gotcha.
And then, give me 1 second. Okay, and then I have 20% for peripheral neuropathy
Gotcha.
of the right lower extremity.
Okay.
It's also known as sciatica. And then 20% peripheral neuropathy of the left lower extremity.
Okay.
And then I have tinnitus.
Okay, so the ears. Okay, good. Gotcha. Okay. So, first and foremost, this is a physical-only claim, which means we're only looking at basically 13 of the potential disability listing categories, not 12.0. Some of the question. Now, look, I'm going to ask this, obviously, fake name, yada, yada. Are you currently represented with an actual attorney with this filing for this claim?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so one of the things you're going to need to make sure that they do, which a lot of them don't do, is they're going to need to go into specific detailed questions about your hands and your inability to do functioning tasks, because it's split into two categories inside the SSA. There's gross manipulative, which is basically like grabbing something, holding something, think coffee cup. And then there's fine manipulative. Yeah, so fine manipulative is like typing on a keyboard, typing on your phone, putting a thread through a needle, stuff like that. And I'm going to give you guys some of the questions that I ask right now out in the actual hearing so that you can hear them, and I'm going to use them on you. So right now we're going to focus on fingering, feeling, handling, reaching, grasping, holding, and turning. That's the manipulative skilled, and unskilled limitations. Okay, so first question. Madame, do your palms, fingers, or hands in general have any limitations? And if so, which hand is worse?
My right hand is worse. And yes, I do have some limitations.
Another thing I just want to note, a lot of the pronunciations of the diagnostic impressions, the medical impairments that you have, make sure you just watch a couple of YouTube videos on somebody talking about that impairment. That way you know how to say it in court, because it will add validity, because there's no mental claim here. There's no like, I have fog of the brain, or I can't focus, I can't remember. This is purely a physical, so make sure you know the names. You'll be able to connect with the judge on a much higher level. Perfect.
Okay.
So, okay, which would be more difficult for you? Repetitive typing on a keyboard, peeling a label off a piece of fruit, or pinching toothpaste out of a tube?
Repetitive typing.
Okay. What would be more difficult at night while picking up an object off the ground? Feeling the size, the temperature, or texture of the object on your fingertips?
The size.
Okay, what would be harder? Cutting an orange into 4 pieces with a knife, peeling the skin off of an orange by hand, or using a handheld peeler on the zest of an orange?
I have difficulty with peeling as well as using the handheld peeler.
Now, if I handed you an orange, would it be harder to receive it at waist level, relaxed elbow level, shoulder level, or eye level?
Waist level.
Okay. So for the manipulative, unskilled, and skilled movements that we have discussed of the affirmed functions you could do, would you be able to do those functions repetitively over an 8-hour workday if a job required them of you?
Typing? No.
Okay. What about 6 hours a day?
No.
What about 3 hours a day?
No.
What do you feel in your head now? Okay, so when you gave answers, you gave classic military-based training answers, which is direct to the point, bullet points. That's the answer, which is good.
Okay.
But I need a little bit more. I need a sentence. And what I'm looking for here is, which would be more difficult for you? Repetitive typing on a keyboard, peeling a label off a piece of fruit, or pinching toothpaste out of a tube? You gave me the military answer, which was repetitive typing on a keyboard, and then done.
Okay.
Tell me about...
Elaborating.
Yeah, tell me why you get pain, what kind of pain, how long the pain lasts, and what pain medications you're using.
Okay. When I am typing, my right hand, the ring finger and the small finger, they begin tingling, and there's this kind of achy, pulling sensation if I continue to type. And then after that, if I don't stop and let it subside, there is a burning sensation on with those 2 fingers, as well as on the right side of my hand, all the way down to my wrist bone. And my elbow, my right elbow, as I say that I have cubital tunnel, there's this burning sensation I get in my right elbow because I have left it in that position too long. And then my forearm tingles, and when I try to straighten my right arm, it's very painful. There's like a burning, pulling sensation when I try to straighten and put it back, put it straight, and it's just excruciating. It hurts. It really hurts.
Okay.
Very painful.
Walk me through this. All right, now we're going to be doing postural-based limitations, because you started out with cervical notation of the spine, which we're talking about the 1.04 base listing analysis. So do you use a cane, crutch, wheelchair, walker, knee cart, sling, or other ambulatory or orthopedic device?
I have some other orthopedic devices. I have a neck brace. I have a brace from elbow. I have 2 carpal tunnel braces for my hands. And then I also have a knee brace for my right knee.
So can you help me out with this? Which of these were prescribed by a physician, and which of these were prescribed by a specialty physician?
The neck brace was prescribed by the physical therapist. The neck brace and the knee brace were prescribed by tunnel. I guess I went through occupational therapy, and it was prescribed by whomever I saw there at the I guess, a therapist, occupational therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And I think no, you know what? Let me back up. The carpal tunnel braces were prescribed by the doctor that conducted my EMG study. I had an EMG study, and was that doctor? I'm sorry, it's been a minute.
Sure.
It may have been my PCM that prescribed the carpal tunnel after she received the results of the EMG, because I had 120% muscle loss in both hands as well.
Okay.
The carpal tunnel.
Okay. Okay. All right. So one of the things you need to be super good at is making sure not only you, but also your attorney are able to bullet point out or even make a list and submit it to the court exactly which orthopedic device came or was prescribed by which doctor. And this is super important because the judge needs it as objective proof to show that you truly have these impairments. And he's looking for a statement as to how much you use it per day. So if you use it just 50% of the day, 20% of the day, etc. So now here's the follow-up question. Ma'am, is there a single story, or is the place where you live a double story?
It is a triple story.
A triple story?
It's a three-story. Yeah, three-story apartment complex.
Okay,
and there's an elevator that I use to move from the bottom floor to my floor.
Okay. What happens when the elevator breaks down?
You have to take the stairs, and so if it's not urgent, I'll wait until the elevator is repaired. It usually takes maybe 2 to 3 hours.
Okay. What about on holidays? That's usually when they break down.
It hasn't broken down on a holiday, so
okay.
If push came to shove, I was forced to use the stairs. I would get my braids, use the stairs. It'd take me about it would take a few minutes for me to get down the stairs because of my knees.
But you could do it, right? You could climb three sets of stairs.
If I had to, if it was a dire situation, yes. Anybody can do anything in a dire situation, but yes.
Okay, so would you utilize a cane while doing that? Do you have a single prong, 4-prong cane?
I would utilize my knee brace, and I would utilize the banister rail.
Okay. How about somebody that's going to be there to hold you on the other side?
If there was a neighbor handy, yes.
Perfect. Okay, so let me ask you this. How many flights of stairs could you normally climb if it weren't an emergency and you still had to climb up them?
I couldn't, because it hurts. It hurts to either move up or down the stairs, and I wouldn't climb it if I didn't have to.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So let's do this. All right, so what I'm getting at here is if you are able to climb stairs, then you fall into the category of ropes, ladders, scaffolding, all that jazz. Then they're wondering, at what level are you going to be basically capable of climbing things? If you have all these devices, then the bottom line is you shouldn't really be able to climb stairs, especially 3 sets of stairs, because that's just totally outside. I mean, if I climbed 3 steps of stairs, I would be tired by the end of it. I would imagine somebody who's 57 going on 58 with that many orthopedic devices would have an even more difficult time. Let me ask you the following. I'm going to jump out of the usual because, I want to switch this up a little, kind of keep it fun for me too. Let's talk about let's talk about environmental restrictions. There are things like heat, cold, pulmonary irritation. Is there anything in the environment that causes your impairments to become more severe or limit you further?
I would have, no, not that I can think of at the top of my head, no.
Okay, so what about vibrations? You don't feel any problems in your back? You don't have issues when you're driving?
No, I don't. My car is pretty, my truck is pretty sound.
Okay. So you get what kind of,
you know, it's sound.
Okay. I love trucks. What kind of truck do you have?
I have a Honda Ridgeline.
Okay, Honda Ridgeline. Okay, that's a little truck, right?
Right.
It's good size to get in and out of. It's not too high, not too low.
Exactly.
Okay. How old is it?
It is, how old is that truck? 13 years old.
13 years old. When was the last time that you replaced these shocks or these struts?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me think. I want to say maybe 2017.
Okay, 2017?
Trying to think. I think maybe 2017.
Okay. So basically what I'm getting at here is a situation of, I'm getting at how you would have your ability to get in and out of the vehicle, how long you could sit in the vehicle for an extended period while driving. I'm getting at, okay, what happens with bumps? It's an older vehicle. It is an older vehicle. Ergo, how are the struts? If you're that young, then you're not going to have a lot of vibrations in the vehicle. So when you travel, when was the last time you were out of the state?
Let me see, when was it? In last June, almost a year ago.
Almost a year ago. Okay, where'd you go?
I went to Texas to visit my father.
Excellent, beautiful state, big state. Did you drive there?
No.
Okay. Did you take a plane there?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I had a claimant once tell me they took a helicopter there. That threw me off.
Oh,
so, yeah. That was tricky. Yeah. Okay. All right. So good. Walk me through this. So you took a plane there. How long is the flight?
The flight was about how long was that flight? Maybe 2.5 hours, I believe.
2.5 hours? Okay.
Yeah.
Considering your impairments, how far do you think you could walk before you feel too much pain and have to stop?
I would say maybe a quarter mile at the most.
Quarter mile? Wow,
because
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good.
At the most, I get the numbing and tingling in my lower extremities.
Okay, gotcha.
And then my back starts to hurt, and my left knee starts to swell. I have swelling in my left knee as well. Let me put that down. Sorry.
Okay, gotcha. Quarter of a mile. About how many feet is that, or would be around?
I have no idea. I'm sorry. I honestly don't know.
Okay. Now here's the thing: when it comes to distances, young guys and women in general tend to not be so used to what a distance is. So if I said to you, how far is a quarter of a mile? You would have a better knowledge base of it because you were in the military and you had to run a quarter of a mile or run this or do that. The average person is not going to know this. So just to go back, let's imagine now, you probably could walk a quarter mile, but you would be miserable and done for the week at the end of that. Would that be a correct statement?
That is the correct statement.
What would be a statement where you would just need a 20-minute break tops to go ahead and recuperate? What is the distance that would only require that amount of time?
Maybe about a half a mile.
Wait, now we're at a half. Now we're at a half a mile.
Okay, maybe I missed it. If I could walk home, well then probably maybe half that distance, 1/8 mile, or maybe 3 or 4 blocks.
Okay. So let's take the word mile out of your testimony,
Okay.
because that word makes me scream, shrivel up, and cry on the inside. Yeah. When I hear that, I'm like, no, it's such a big. Oh, she could have said nautical mile. It would have been the only thing worse. So,
3 blocks.
yeah, 3 blocks I'm happy with. You know, 3 blocks. And remember, give it like a block in New York City. That's a big block. A block in Florida is a small, maybe like 3 local HOA little town blocks, you know, something small. Or if you could actually utilize the feet or meter or yard measurement, that would be good. What my favorite is when people take their car and they say how many of that car length they could go ahead and walk.
Okay.
So
Got you.
how many Honda Ridge lines could you walk?
I'd say maybe point 0.2.
0.2? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. All right. So now let's go ahead and skip off of the distance. How long could you stand before you'd have to sit down due to the pain?
I could stand for, I think, maybe 10 to 12 minutes.
10 to 12 minutes? Okay, gotcha. What happens after 10 to 12 minutes?
I experience pain in my lower back. It feels like this grinding sensation, and it also feels like if there was someone pressing the top of my head, and that sensation is radiating to my lower back. It feels like there's pressure.
Okay.
Like there is a pressure, pain, and the grinding of my disc.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so walk me through this. You have this pain. How long do you think you could sit before you'd have to stand up and or lay down?
I'd say the same thing, about maybe 10 to 15 minutes. And when I sit for a period of time, there's also a burning sensation near my tailbone area, and I'm very stiff when I get up. I have to, I guess you could say, scoot off of the couch or out of the chair because it hurts it's painful to move with, the normal stance to get out of a seat.
Sure. Okay.
It's very painful.
Okay. So after this short period of distance, right? After walking that distance, after standing that long, after sitting and then having to switch positions, could you walk me through this? For example, would you be able to go ahead and rest and then repeat that function? Be able to sit that long, stand that long, or walk that far?
I could. No, I wouldn't be able to walk that far or that long. The time period was short.
Okay. What I'm getting at there is, okay, if she cannot do this repetitively over an 8-hour workday, then she can only do this maybe part-time work, in which case she's not going to equate to SGA, which is one of the elemental requirements. So if you can't do part-time or full-time work because you can't repeat or do the repetitive standing, walking, or sitting, then in this particular situation, you wouldn't be able to work. But if you're willing to say, I can walk a quarter of a mile, I can walk, 1,000 ridge lines, if I can, go ahead and stand, and do that kind of work. Remember, standing jobs are mostly light, medium, heavier, very heavy under the code. Sedentary jobs require 6 out of 8 sitting and then 2 out of 8 standing. I'm going to ask you a tough question, and because and keep in mind, I'm beating you up more than the average judge is going to beat you up, unless you have the softest, nicest pillow in the world, and it made me feel incredible. It was just a very contrasty, one kind of really beat me up and beat the claimant up. And, it was just grandstanding. And then the other one was like, okay, well, let's make this the best claim we can. It was just a very different, stylistic approach. All right, so let's go into this real quick. I am officially now hiring. I'm hiring for a security job. With your background and clearances, you would be excellent for it. This job is going to essentially require you to go ahead and you're going to be sitting for about 6 to 8 hours watching a computer screen which has multiple monitors inside the screen that are security cameras that are live. And then for 2 out of those 8 hours, you're going to be walking a total of 100 meters from point A, at which point you will have a total of 7 stops where you'll have to take an ID badge from your belt side or your belt level and go ahead and take your arm and then place it into the upper right-hand corner of a door frame. You'll have 7 locations to do in 2 hours, 100 yards, and the bottom line is you'll have to do this job obviously full-time, 9 to 5. Why would you have difficulty with this job, or would you?
Yes, I would have difficulty doing that job. Walking that distance would aggravate my lower back. As I stated, I have degenerative disc disease. And then you mentioned something about reaching. Is that what you said as well? I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you're going to be using your ID badge. You're going to go ahead and take it from your belt at that level. You're going to go ahead and push it all the way up into the upper right-hand or left-hand corner of a door frame, which will have a sensor to acknowledge that you have reached the checkpoint.
Okay. Reaching is a problem because I have a tear in my right shoulder. I cannot reach above my head. And darn, what else was it? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Sometimes I can't recall everything. I can't recall everything.
Now, if I were a tough judge, I would immediately said, well, didn't you say that you were left-hand dominant, but that you had the capacity to use your right side?
Yeah, I am left-hand. No, I'm right. I'm right. My right side is my dominant side. I am left-handed, but my right side is my dominant side.
Okay.
And that's the side I have the most issues with.
Okay. So that's the reason why I would, right there, that whole left-hand, right-hand thing, I would capitalize. If I were a mean judge, I would capitalize on that situation. But all right. Mm-hmm. So tell me this. We're going to go over the job again. You're going to be sitting in a chair watching a security monitor for 6 out of 8 hours. You're going to be walking 100 yards, ID badge into the upper right-hand or left-hand corner of door frame for 2 out of 8 hours.
Okay. Sitting would be an issue, as I stated, my lower back and my tailbone.
Mm-hmm.
It would be extremely painful.
Mm-hmm.
And walking 100 yards,
mm-hmm.
that's as well.
I'm just sitting in my chair in order to get my little doggy into my lap because he's just very displeased that he's not getting doggy treats right now. He'll make it, though. It's questionable, but he'll make it. So. All right. If I were to approach this question with your impairments, what I would have said is, well, first off, I can't sit for 6 hours. I can't even sit for 20 minutes. And there's no way that I can focus on one screen, let alone multiple screens. I also have difficulty because of the impairments that I have and the tinnitus with keeping focus on period. Also, you have to keep in mind that I have difficulty with typing. So if I have to enter in commands or utilize something like a mouse, I would have a hard time clicking smaller buttons relevant to tiny screens that are on that larger monitor. Also, I'd have a hard time because if this turns into a job where I have to interact with others, I'm often having a difficult time with my emotional state. So if I have, oh yeah, no, it goes on. I mean, like, trust me, and that's the thing. If you gave a perfect answer, if you gave like an answer like that, it might be a problem because that's just too right on. That goes through each and every element. Let's talk about the standing part. I obviously can't walk 100 yards. I cannot go ahead and hold on to an ID badge. I cannot lift an ID badge upward and go ahead and move it into the upper right hand or left hand door frame. The pain that I would have from that is basically in multiple locations. So then I would outline the types of pain. I would outline the types of medications that you're currently taking for pain and how they're not working. I'd go into basically, when you're on this, if something were to occur, or you had to interact with somebody, or you had to chase somebody down, or you had to stop somebody, or you had to even report something that was on your belt, or maybe on your shoulder when moving your arm, using a radio. These would all be functions that would be too difficult for you to go ahead and do. So,
Okay.
let's try it again. Madame, tell me, why would you have a tough time doing a security job where you sat in front of a computer monitor for 6 out of 8, and then for 2 out of 8 hours, you're walking 100 yards, ID badge into the upper corners of a door?
Okay. Well, as I stated, my lower back gives me I have issues with my lower back. I can't, number one, I can't sit for 6 hours. I can't utilize the computer. So I'm assuming that I would be typing in information or doing some type of logging on certain situations. I cannot type because of my hands, and reaching is very painful as well. I have issues with that. It's very painful, and I can't do that. As far as walking any distance is pretty much excruciating. And
so here's a quick thing. Very, and I'm not trying to make like a president joke here, but like very is a word that you should use sparingly in a disability hearing, because it portrays zero specificity or emotion. There's no metric to it. So if I'm like,
okay,
hey, you're a great claimant. You're a very, very great claimant. You're the very best claimant I could ever imagine. Very awesome.
Okay.
It doesn't describe, so tell me, what did you mean by very bad pain?
The pain is sharp. It is a it's a deep, sharp, sudden pain, and it's extremely painful.
Okay. It's extremely painful. What does extremely mean? There's a tearing sensation in my shoulder when I reach.
Where does it feels in my right shoulder? It feels as if the tear that is already there is being lengthened. It's lengthening.
Where does the pain shoot to?
It's right there. It feels as if it's right there. It doesn't really radiate. It just feels as if someone is stabbing me in my right shoulder near my rotator cuff. That's where the tear is, near my rotator cuff. It's a sharp, stabbing, tearing sensation.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to ask you one last big question, because I know there's a few people on here that want to go ahead and run some questions. I know that you're going to have a tough time with this question. It is not something that should make you feel bad. It is not something that should make you feel like you're not prepared. Nobody does well on this question. So just right off the bat, try your best, and then we'll go over how to do a little bit different job on it. So, Madam, can you go ahead and explain to me what medications you're currently on, what are they for, and what side effects you get from each?
Okay, I am currently using diclofenac sodium topical gel for my neck and my upper back. I use it for my right shoulder. I rub it on my right. It's a topical gel, like I stated, for my right shoulder. I have an inhaler. I have asthma, and I have ibuprofen that I take when the pain becomes too unbearable. I was on meloxicam, but I'm else because they made me feel lethargic. And then I also take iron supplements, vitamin D supplements. I receive B12 injections on a monthly basis.
Okay. So, do any of these medications limit your ability to be out in the sun?
I want to say, I need to find out exactly. I want to say maybe the iron and the B12. I'm not 100% certain, no.
Okay. So, when you are interacting with others, I'm guessing some of these medications cause you to have some degree of lapse of memory, some degree of lack of words to a sentence that you're trying to communicate with Would that be accurate?
As a matter of fact, yes.
When you originally stated that you did not have any mental impairments related to your top 3, if I then presented to you the option to go ahead and state the top 5 most severe impairments that you have, what would the top 5 most severe impairments be?
I would say anxiety.
Okay.
Now, when you say the top 5 impairments, are you talking about the ones that I discussed with you, like, for instance, my shoulder?
So I would say we've got 3 covered. Number 4 could be anxiety. What would number 5 be?
Number 5 would be my neck. My neck. My neck is my neck is so, it hurts every single day. When I get up during the day, I am constantly, it's on my mind, and it hurts. It hurts so much. And when I sleep, it disturbs my sleep, and it's just excruciatingly painful, my neck.
You said you had a poor sleep habit due to these impairments. I'm guessing tossing and turning. Are you able to wake up consistently on time?
No, not really. No, I still use an alarm clock.
When it comes to the past job you had in 2012, were you severely impaired directly after 2012, or did it take until 2016 for you to fully complete or fully believe that you were severely impaired?
These impairments were diagnosed. Well, it was before I retired. The worsening, throughout time, over the past 6.5 years. No, excuse me, darn. 6, 12. Darn, almost 8 years. Excuse me, I didn't do the math right, and it's just been worsening over the years.
Do you know when your hearing's going to be?
Yes, on the 6th of May.
May 6th. It's around the corner. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So there's a lot of preparation issues. You need to make a list of all the medications, what they're for, what their side effects are, review videos to see how they're pronounced. Top 5 impairments, then make a longer list of all the auxiliary impairments that cause you to have an inability to do the job you once did. Be able to explain all the job functions that you used to do and why you could no longer do them nowadays. Be able to explain why you couldn't do physical actions, lifting, pushing, pulling, crouching, stooping, mental actions, remembering, focusing, concentrating, completing tasks, finishing what you start. Be able to expand the claim into the potential of anxiety and request, and the judge could deny it, request to have a CE for mental done. The problem with that, though... Yeah, go ahead.
What was that again? A what?
A CE, a consultative examination, is the medical appointment set up by the SSA. So, all right. I've gone through a bunch of questions. I beat you up a little bit, but I still love you. Love you lots.
No, I love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Help me out with this. Do you have any questions for me?
I can't think of anything at this time. You said that you wanted me to call you back?
Yes. Call me tomorrow at some point. I'm going to be busy running around. But this is... All right. Actually, what I want to do is I would draw it out on the iPad on live on the screen right now. But the problem is I have a 30-pound pit pug in my lap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe to you in timeline fashion the problem that we're running into with your particular claim that you understand what has to be done immediately in order to try and save the potential of going onto SSDI benefits. And what scares me is that this massive issue has not already been figured out by your current attorney, which scares the crap out of me, because I mean, this is a claim. This is terminal to your SSDI benefits. This could potentially, this will actually kill your SSDI claim unless some magic is done. All right, let me see if I can get a drawing program up shortly. So, you know what? I don't even have the Apple Pen with me. All right, so let's do this. We have a timeline. 2017. When in 2017 did you? When was your DLI again?
My DLI?
Date last insured.
I'm sorry. December 31st, 2017.
Okay. So
That's what it says as of,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So December 2017, we have to be able to prove that you were disabled all the way back to December 2017. Right? Now, with that said, we can go 17 months back from your initial filing date for essentially SSDI benefits. Those are called retroactive benefits, going 17 months back. All right, so here's the kicker. Oh, that's my doggy. He's talking to me. So with that said, all right, in 2016, you applied and then you got a denial. Do you remember how long you waited for the initial denial?
No, I honestly don't.
Okay. Was it like 7 months? Was it like 10 months? Was it 12 months? Was it a year? Was it 2 years?
If I had to say, maybe 4 to 5 months.
4 to 5 months, okay. And do you remember, was the middle, around when did you file in 2016?
Oh my gosh.
Any holidays you filed around?
Maybe February or March of 2016.
Okay, no biggie. So that means that we're clear, because that claim died and was not appealed in 2016 and did not continue into 2017. So now we have the issue of this. We have a claim that was filed in 2019, January, and then we have another claim that was filed later in 2019, which means that we need to use what's called the 404.911 brief to send a request. Actually, you can have the judge do this, but he's going to have to brief it like tomorrow to go ahead and state that basically he's requesting that your original claim be attached to your January 2019 filing, because that was your intent to go ahead and appeal that claim forward as opposed to refiling.
Okay.
Once you do that, then what you're going to have to do is, because remember, let's say we go back to January of 2019, and keep in mind, I'm the even though and I can do complex math, I cannot do simple math without a calculator. So let's go all the way to January of. Let's count it back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That puts us in July of 2018, which is a problem, because then we're a year away still from 27. Or no, that means we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's doable. 7 months away. We're 7 months away, non-mechanical application. Do you have good medical evidence in 2017?
Yeah, but of these issues that I have?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Did you have the orthopedic devices in 2017?
Yes, I did.
All right. Oh my God. All right. You have a hearing around the corner. And when I say around the corner, I mean like it's in the same room that you're standing in right now. And
right.
You're gonna have to fix this all before it goes to a hearing, because if they come back and rule without this thing fixed, then you will be barred from it coming up in the future. Which means you will not get SSDI benefits ever. So your life, and I hate to put this, but your call today will be the most serious call I have made all day today. And keep in mind, I did 2 hearings and I've spoken with about 20 claimants so far. So that's a statement right there. So I'd like you to understand the gravity of, all right, now let me ask you this. Do you have more than $2,000 in the bank account? It's around there?
Right now, yes.
Okay. Did you have more than $2,000 in the bank account for most of the time that you were applying since 2019?
Okay, when you ask the question, is this before or after bills are paid?
Wait. Say it again, the last part again?
I said, this question, is it before or after all bills and rent are paid?
Oh, okay, so this is a monthly gig. What we're talking about here is that's before bills get paid. At any point during the month, did you have more than $2,000 in the bank account?
Yes.
The answer is, of course, yes, because you're getting VA benefits.
Right.
So, okay. And keep in mind, if I can come up with that quickly, then a judge who's been doing this for 50 years is going to be able to come up with that pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we got a problem. You, for 90 to 99% of the months that you applied for SSI benefits, are not eligible because you had too much money in the bank. That's a problem. And if you can't fix this situation with your SSDI claim to be able to prove that you were disabled all the way back to December of 2017, then you can't get onto SSDI benefits, because if you prove a day after December of 2017 that you were disabled, then guess what? There's no program for disability that you could go on. So like I was saying, this is the most important phone call, or at least the most endangered species of a phone call that, I will make, today. So, what I would say is this. All right, is your I can't ask you who your judge is because it's a live YouTube thing. Let me ask you this. What is your judge's percent passage rate?
Hold on. I have that. I think I still have it right here. Give me 1 second.
Which geographic region are you? Just the state, not the county.
California.
Okay, gotcha.
Darn, I had that up. Here we go. Let's see. It says this person has had 163 decisions, 105 awards, 58 denials, 94 favorable, and 11 partially favorable.
Okay, so once again, my math is incredibly weak on the simple averaging algorithms. Go to disabilityjudges.com, look up what his name is, disabilityjudges.com, Google, and then put his name in, and basically find out what his percent passage rate is. It's his approval rate. That's what you're looking for. If it's below 47%, he might be a grumpy judge and not want to help you out with this. If it's above 47%, the judge may want to help you out with this. But remember, you're going to need what's called a non-mechanical application allowance from December, and just put it as 12/30/2017 as your amended alleged onset date. So write down, I need 12/30/2017 as my amended alleged onset date with a non-mechanical application allowance for Title II. Yeah, also
hold on one second.
Sure.
Allowance. Okay, non-mechanical allowance for
Title II, SSDI, benefits, application.
Okay. What was the alleged part again? Alleged date.
Alleged onset date.
Alleged onset.
Yeah. So we're amending the alleged onset date. The alleged onset date is the date you're claiming you became impaired. You have to impair the day before or the day of your DLI that you became impaired, which is December 30th or 31st. You get to choose. It doesn't really matter. Of 2017.
And that was that form you said I needed to fill out, the 4-point something. I have it in my notes somewhere. What was that? Darn it, where is it? The 4... Darn it, where is it? Now I know I wrote it down.
There is another option. and it is not an applaudable option. It is not an option that I don't even think I should be advising of this option, but I don't know who you are, and I'm just going to give you a trial tactic that exists in the national economy as an option that you could potentially use. But I'm not necessarily advising you to do this. Okay. You could potentially request to have an in-person hearing and give whatever reason you want, which would require them to put off your hearing for an extended period, could be 5-6 months due to COVID, in which case you could go and work at a job and earn, $5,000 or get your extra 4 quarters of coverage, which would push your date last insured forward in time. And then you would likely have to explain and have that job show how you had a bunch of accommodations, show how you had a bunch of limitations and how they assisted you to be able to do the job in the first place, but how you were different from a regular employee that would have not had all those allowances. If you did that, it would move your date last insured forward in time, which would then allow you to prove in with that many quarters of coverage, you'd be in 2020, and your date last insured would be moved forward. In that case, now look, that is tricky shit that basically you should be not attempting on your own. And I don't even know if your attorney's not even involved enough to even know that this is a problem, which means it's going to be a real shocker when the judge looks at him and goes, "Hey, buddy, counselor, we got a problem here. This is a no bueno." So, oh yeah, you're right. I can't say certain words. The bottom line is, you have to keep in mind that bottom line, and I cannot advise you do this unless it is a situation in which case you don't have counsel, or you can't do a telephonic hearing, or there's some reason why you can't do this hearing and you have to have an in-person hearing. It might be advisable. It might be advisable for you to have an in-person hearing so that they can see all the different orthopedic devices that you come in with. It might be advisable for you to let me play a little devil's advocate here, okay? And I know I'm spending too much time with you, and I know there's somebody else that's like waiting to, but here's the thing. You're married, right? You have a husband?
No, I'm divorced.
You're divorced. Okay, gotcha. Okay. So, but you have a check coming in to be able to pay for your general upkeep, right?
Yes, I do.
So then, what's the deal with waiting 8 months?
Okay, I'm going to be waiting another 5 to 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, so think about it. Let's say you had to wait another 7 to 8 months. Is that a big deal?
Not really. No.
Yeah. Aside from the emotional thing, the I want to have it now part. Aside from the that stuff.
Okay.
No,
I was trying to qualify for a home. I was hoping, this would help.
Well, keep in mind it's going to take them 3 to 4 months just to adjudicate it and write a brief. Right. So, I mean, you're not going to get the percentage point you want from the COVID. Or maybe you will. I don't know. I mean, we're opening back up as a country, and apparently, there's a lot of people that have died and are on box trucks right now. So I don't know what's going to happen. I know that viruses, they come and go, so. I always get sick twice, but I've been lucky enough not to get this particular virus yet. It's one of those gigs. But, I would say this. If you're worried about, have you already found the home?
No, I have not.
All right.
So no.
All right. So now, because if you found your dream home, like I'm sitting in my dream home right now, after 7 years of doing the law firm, I was able to buy my dream home. I absolutely, I tuck my boats in with the little boat covers at night on the water. They just love it all, but snuggled in. They're just adorable.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you. The thing is, if you were to potentially put it off and work a job that paid you some money and that you paid into the IRS. The IRS would create is what's called a new hire query. And the new hire query would go ahead and show recent earnings. And if you had, like, let's say 4 jobs, one that paid you around $1,400, one that paid you around $1,300, one that paid you around $1,500, and one that paid you around $1,350, you would get your 4 quarters of coverage for the 2020 year, which would then bump your date last insured way up. You'd be past 2020, in which case you could show that you were impaired, and that's why you had to do super light hours at these jobs, but you're still able to earn enough for a quarters of coverage.
Okay.
My point is that is an advanced tactic. I do not advise it because it potentially is a manipulation of the system, and I cannot advise a manipulation of the system. But the option exists.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect. All righty. So, Matt, do you have any questions for me?
What time do you want me to call you tomorrow?
Anytime. If it's not me getting the phone call and back office picks up, just let them know to give me a message, to give you a call back, and then any chance, any opening I get, I'll give you a call back. Okay.
All right. Again, thank you so very much. It was painful, but very knowledgeable experience, and I greatly appreciate it.
Excellent, madam. Have a wonderful, wonderful night, and all the best. And I'm really, really pulling for you. I hope that this goes in the right way, because I'd like to see you get your VA check and your SSDI benefits.
Thank you.
Perfect. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.